Hey there. So, welcome back to another episode of Time for Wellness. It is a new month and we are adding a little layer to this podcast. So, this is year six. So, for those who are just tuning in, my name is Haikini and I am the voice behind Time for Wellness. If you have followed in the past, we had a different name, and you can go back and look at or listen to those episodes on Buzzsprout. There are a few that are on YouTube, some of the old ones, just depending on, I can't remember when it started. So it was just due to whenever I started using a RSS feed to automatically upload those episodes from Buzzsprout to YouTube. So we are doing something different for this month. So you can actually see me on YouTube, and I'll also have some clips that may go on Pinterest as well and break it up as shorts. And so, yeah, hello, hello, hello. And for those who are or will be viewing, you'll actually see my background. And let me make some adjustments right here. So you'll be able to see my background. I'm not hiding my background. This is what my background looks like when I'm doing my podcast. Same spot. I have my tea. Well, it's a mixture of things in there, and we can talk about that later. So, motivation and often stops working in midlife. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. So, in this episode, we are going to explore why willpower and discipline feel heavier than they used to, how the body and the nervous system play a large role in decision making as we age, and why midlife requires systems instead of pressure based motivation. So, this conversation is about naming the transition, releasing self blame, and understanding what actually supports sustainable progress in the season of life. So, grab your smoothie or cup of tea and join the conversation. Let's go. All right. Hey there. So, a little different. I won't be editing this podcast episode. So you'll hear little breaks of me speaking. If you're just listening, if you never get to see the actual video, you may be wondering why is she like doing all this stuff. So we're changing it up a little bit. So used to just hearing my voice, I wanted to add some video because I am a real person. It's not AI, even though I do use AI to help save time. And it's not a replacement, but it's a good way to shorten my to-do list. So, about what's in my cup today, I always have some type of smoothie or a cup of tea. That's what prompted me to start using that little tag when I started podcasting. And I actually started it before I actually started with this podcast. Many moons ago, I had a first go at a podcast and I interviewed a few people, and it was, what was the name? The Nutrition Formula. If you've known me that long, you may have seen that floating around or heard my voice. I did have it on a few platforms. And so I've always said this. So I have a used tea bag. It was some type of a matcha and a ginkgo, a mixture of something I got from Sprouts. And it comes in like a little canister. So now that we can see each other in different episodes, I may bring some little things to share with you. How fun is that? And then I put a little bit of lemon water. Well, I put lemon in the water and then a little bit of ginger because I actually boiled some fresh ginger. So now I have a big jar of ginger and I just kind of put a little bit in that cup as well. So let's get into the content. So again, welcome back. Of course, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you want to see how the podcast operated years ago. You can go back to the older podcast. This is year 6, as I mentioned before in the previous month. We used to do podcasts every week, every Wednesday. So now they are once a month. Still the same impact as usual. And so thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And just in case you're just listening, again, you'll hear some papers rustling in the background, just different things, because I have changed some things in the way I'm presenting these podcast episodes. So you get to see the really, really raw, uncut version of this podcast. And hopefully, if you have never used YouTube, hopefully you can access YouTube now. That way you can actually see the podcast happening. All right. So again, this month, it's all about just noticing things. Okay. So we're being more intentional with these conversations, and I may be looking in different directions because I do have my phone up as well, and I'll be using my phone as clips as well. Learning how to repurpose, you guys. That's one thing that we're learning as we're growing in midlife, learning how to condense some things. So February is about something many women quietly notice but don't always know how to name. So the motivation has stopped. You were going well, you were getting it. Oh, new me, new year, new me, doing all the things. And then it slowly began to dip. All right. But maybe your motivation didn't completely change, but it did a little something for you to notice, right? You started to notice something different about yourself. So January arrives and everything feels possible. New year, again, fresh start, new intentions, and then, of course, the shift. You still want things, you still want to do the things you want to do on your to-do list. Maybe you have a vision board of some sort, or you have some things that you learned from last year that you want to implement for this year. So you still may want to do those. The intention is there, but the follow through feels heavy. It feels heavier than what it used to feel. And some things you may be wondering is, why can't I just push the way I used to? Why does discipline feel harder? And why do I feel like slipping backwards, that I'm really slipping backwards? So, truth moment as we take our sip. There is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. This isn't a failure. This isn't laziness. And it's not that you suddenly lost discipline. What's happening is a transition. So early in life, motivation was the thing. You were highly motivated. And even though you may have felt like, oh, I don't want to do this, you still were able to push through, right? Even though you may have been stressed out, you may have had younger kids back then, they may have been a little bit more tired. Maybe you homeschool and did all the things. Because guess what? Most of the time, adrenaline did the work. You were operating on adrenaline. You were moving on autopilot. But midlife changes things. The motivation may still be there, but the body signals are louder. The hormones, the brain fog, just the attention span, squirrel. There it is. It's not because you're weaker, but because your nervous system now carries more influence than adrenaline. The body gets the final vote. This shows up small every day. There's little moments, little pockets of things that you start noticing. Maybe you wake up with clear intentions, a clear plan to get that extra work done. You really want to do it. Your intention is solid. Like, yeah, I want to do this. Oh, but the energy feels off. Your focus is scattered. Oh, you get that notification, right? And then, oh, just 1 minute. That 1 minute turns into 30 minutes. Pushing through then feels like it's costing you something more instead of being productive for that day. That intentional pause isn't your body asking you to quit. It's your body asking for a different way of operating. Midlife doesn't respond well to pressure-based motivation. It responds to systems. Let's say that again. Midlife doesn't respond to pressure-based motivation. It responds to systems. No rigid routines, no hustle, no pushing harder, but rhythms that work with fluctuating energy instead of against it. Because the energy does like this. You may be, yes, woo, I got it going. An hour later, you're like, it's only been an hour. This is where many women get stuck, trying to use the same fuel in a body that has changed. Midlife doesn't need more effort. It needs better systems. Midlife does not need more effort. It needs better systems. Systems that don't depend on mood. Systems that don't collapse when motivation dips. Systems that allow for rest and progress. That's why calm consistency beats intensity at this stage of life. Calm consistency. And we've talked about that in the past. When you're just, so on edge, you're bringing your body into a low level stress response. Your cortisol levels increase. So as we age and as we start having all these changes going on in our body, we need to learn how to bring it down a notch, bringing that calm. And then when you have that calm, things begin to be more clear, right? And suddenly, instead of you having that brain fog, that trying to unscramble that brain, you know now to take a deep breath. And where's my keys? When you calm down and, relax, it's like, aha, there they are. Suddenly you remember, right? That calm. If motivation has stopped working for you, it doesn't mean you need a new personality or more willpower. You know how we do. It means you've outgrown old systems. You've outgrown old systems. Recalibration, not reinvention, is the next step. So here we are. We've made it. We've made it through another month of Time for Wellness. Now, if you want some gentle support in building that kind of structure, the reset guide is for you. Now, everything that you need to know is in the show notes. So if you're not familiar with those, Buzzsprout, if you listen on Buzzsprout, or if you listen to one of your favorite podcast platforms, If you scroll at the bottom, there's always show notes available, and I have all the links that you need to take that next step. Now, this reset guide is designed to reset without pressure and return to whatever you need at that moment. That's why it's called a reset. So, I really appreciate you guys listening to this month's podcast episode as we are sharing with women who are navigating through this midlife season, this new season of life. So, again, make sure you share this with a friend. And until next time, learn to love and learn to serve. Bye for now.